In a previous video, we discussed a recent PR statement released by the LDS Church. This is a follow-up to that situation. The lawsuit was filed this week, and it helps clarify some perspectives on possibly what was in that statement and why it was in that statement. The recent news article in the Deseret News is September 15, 2023, regarding releasing an official statement to a tabloid that was anti-church in nearly all of its writings. This is an excerpt of that video. Here is the church statement. The names are redacted simply because this channel does not seek to be an authoritative source for personal names and those people's doings. This is simply an examination of this news story while trying to avoid names if we can help it. The lawsuit is asking for damages, of course all financial, other costs including interest, expenses, and attorney's fees. It's also seeking a finding of outrage. Sixth cause of action says outrage against all defendants. Very curious that this is a possible result of this lawsuit. They want to thoroughly humiliate and discredit those they are suing, all defendants. So there are some key details you may have missed from this lawsuit. They mention business associates, including an apostle in the LDS Church. They mention this individual has spoken to students at Brigham Young University of Idaho, and curiously is an expert of the Book of Mormon prophet Nephi. How that is, that's another story to look into. So, more curiosities to this story. It would be a reasonable interpretation to ask, why was that statement released in such a hurry? Looks like now maybe to create plausible deniability for the evidence of business dealings. You'll see the lawsuits naming anyone that could have done something to stop the so-called tactics they used when they go undercover to rescue children. So one possible explanation emerges here. The statement condemning the member in good standing may have been a preemptive strike. Now, we don't know what's happened in the last 3 weeks. The claim now is this member has in fact been excommunicated, and that's the claim in the lawsuit itself. So the evidence of language in the lawsuit, highly emotional language, try to be compelling, but in an emotional way. It shows strong indications that the church knew they were about to be named in an embarrassing lawsuit. The handling of this press release by the PR department of the LDS Church now shows it was most likely a legal positioning issue for the church, and they were in a rush to release that statement. And that lawsuit was known to be coming out soon. They wanted to distance themselves from any connection so they wouldn't be sued themselves. And so the key question from the situation arises, do the ends justify the means? Part of the lawsuit alleges that this individual has met with the president of the Quorum of the 12 in the church administration building in Salt Lake City to discuss the work. That's evidence of business dealings. This individual has also spoken to many groups across the country, including athletic teams at Brigham Young University. The individual has authored books. You can read their word choice here. This is the claim made against this individual in the lawsuit. Very politically charged language for some reason. Have any of these things been proven? Is that word nationalism mentioned in the book, or is that something they're using to try to create an emotional backlash against this individual? So the purpose of this video is not to cover anything up, but just look at everything and ask, why is it so emotionally charged? Why are they going after the individual and of course the tactics? And as you look into their claims, if they are true, they would warrant excommunication. So it's not the purpose of our channel to judge that. Let this process play out. No one has actually said crimes were committed, although now the lawsuit is claiming assault, and that would be a crime. However, these are matters that have already been investigated in Davis County. So the context of this is, what are the motives, and is it financial? Also, it's not just financial, of course. Seeking a finding of outrage as an action, that would indicate they want their defendants to be humiliated. The allegation from the lawsuit, one of them, was this operation was an experience vacation for wealthy men. So the lawsuit's claiming that this whole operation of rescuing children helped wealthy men have an experience vacation, like they're going out to get a big trophy, photo ops and things. And that was the appeal of them going out to take part in these operations to save the children. So, number 38, many of these ops included wealthy men with no military training. That could be said of the ladies suing in the lawsuit itself. They had no military training themselves. And so, again, that kind of raises a lot of questions. Why are these people willingly going into these dangerous situations? They don't have military training. What convinced them to go ahead with it? Now they're suing as a result of their experience with this undercover world, the behaviors they claim they endured. So the question is, what did they expect when they went into it? Were their eyes not open? And that is a whole different topic. I'm not going to get into that. Just going to ask that question. Not everything about this lawsuit makes a lot of sense, but you can see they are claiming emotional damage and other kinds of damage, psychological. They want money for it. They dropped into third world countries to rescue trafficked children, with photo opportunities and stories in local papers of their heroics, all while flying first class. Now, why is that a point? Flying first class. The language is emotionally charged in a way, trying to be compelling, of course, but is that going to backfire on them? I think if you are taking on this organization or the people involved in the organization, you would simply want the facts to come out. It looks like they're trying to create something beyond what actually is going on. So going after the wealthy men who fly first class. So I think the implication is these men, if they really were caring, they would have flown at a lower class ticket in the plane. Also, talking about some of the fundraising that took place in the previous slide, the culture of the state of Utah, using words like Mormon nationalism, using the store Deseret book, a man named Glenn Beck, who's become a very famous brand. He donated a significant amount of money to this organization. Key statements from the lawsuit include: upon reasonable belief and inquiry, upon learning of the couple's ruse and how this person used it, he was excommunicated. Is that true? And was it a recent development? Because no mention of it was made September 15th. Has it happened since then? Or was someone lying at that time? If you saw the reaction of the person at the focus of this controversy, it was one of shock, outrage, of course. Did he act like someone who had already known he was excommunicated? Or was it something that happened after that? Or is it true? So that they're also claiming a conspiracy of all the defendants in this lawsuit. Now, if the church has already denounced the individual before the lawsuit came out, that likely would save them from being named as a party of the lawsuit, being sued. It's not clear from this information right now who exactly are the defendants, but there's a long list, and they're claiming they conspired to allow this practice to happen to these innocent people who were volunteers and were convinced to go undercover and go into sleazy conditions. They were shocked at the behaviors and how they had to become to survive. Apparently, they mentioned the danger, people's lives are on the line. A famous actress was also a part of that, and she speaks very positively about how this was carried out, the ruse. It seems that element of our society, the actors and actresses, understand it. This video is not trying to take a position one way or another. We're simply asking questions. But with such emotionally charged language in this lawsuit, that might be something the judge is going to need to look at. A fourth cause of action listed: civil conspiracy to defraud all plaintiffs against all defendants. So they want all defendants convicted of civil conspiracy. They all were planning to harm these people who are suing in this lawsuit. There was intentional infliction of emotional distress against all defendants. So they intended to inflict emotional distress against all of them. That's the conspiracy we're talking about as alleged in this lawsuit. And the focus is this thing called the couple's ruse, which if their claims are true, it would not be good. It would be excommunicable. But of course, no one's been convicted. Everyone still has their constitutional rights of innocent until proven guilty. In the seventh cause of action, negligent infliction of emotional distress against all defendants. This is an action against the defendants, except for the man who's the focal point of this. I think they've got a different finding they're seeking against him. They're seeking financial damages as described in the other parts of this lawsuit. So we have new and remaining questions. Does this mean a stigma will be attached to the cause to end human trafficking? Are they really just trying to take down a person who got a little bit ahead of himself, thought a little too much of himself, and used his church position to make them think they were serving a church goal? Is that how they convinced them to put themselves in this perilous situation of undercover work to rescue children? It's hard to believe someone would go into that thinking they're walking into a Sunday picnic, but the lawsuit indicates they were totally unprepared for what they encountered, and the charges are serious, and that's going to have to play out in the court. But does the evidence of language in the lawsuit suggest that the church itself knew they were about to be named in an embarrassing lawsuit? It makes a lot of sense now. They put the statement out 3 weeks ago before the filming of this, because that can be used to exonerate themselves and create that plausible deniability. With the knowledge of the existence of the problem being more established, what will influence establishments of our society? That would be governments, media, entertainment, churches as well. What steps, if any, are they taking, these big entities of our culture? What are they taking in regards to human trafficking problems? It's becoming more and more well known. This is a worldwide issue, and it's also an issue in the United States. It's actually becoming known where these children are, and questions are arising. Why is this being ignored in the United States itself? What purpose does that serve? There are links to other YouTube channels that have looked into this and have better information than this channel can get, so they will be put in the description. Will the handling of this press release by the PR department of the LDS Church will that become an established procedure going forward? Because the church, of course, should want to avoid at all costs being embroiled in lawsuits. And does that also include not wanting to speak out against serious issues of our time, injustices? Slavery in the world is a bigger problem now than it's ever been in world history. The key question really does become, from all of this, do the ends justify the means? Of course, that question is going to be asked of the techniques, the ways they went undercover, the behavior they engaged in. That needs to be sorted out in a valid court of law, not just public opinion. And of course, the PR department of the LDS Church releasing the statement before they dealt with the individual. Do the ends justify the means? They probably ended up protecting themselves from being unnamed party defendants in this lawsuit. Is that an acceptable practice going forward? So the conclusion would be, looking at the lawsuit's emotionally charged language, it appears it was a preemptive strike from the LDS Church to protect them from being a part of this legal proceeding where they are sued, as lots of evidence indicates there were business dealings. Deseret Book was selling books. There were meetings in the church office building with an apostle, according to this lawsuit, claiming that is a fact. That will have to be determined in a court of law. The evidence of the language shows that the handling of this press release by the PR department, it was a legally positioned statement. They're doing some legal positioning so they would not be connected to this embarrassing scenario of the lawsuit. And the key question from this situation would be, do the ends justify the means? Please comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.